Hello there, it's Nat here, aka the Wolf of Watertown, and today we're not going to be discussing a specific topic. However, we will be discussing a story that I have that has a very important message to it. But first, before we get started, don't forget to subscribe and like if you haven't already. So, my college experience was a little bit different from the conventional route, where I went to a military school. The class that gave me the most heartache and grief during my 4-year experience was a class called Survival Swim. Most people were failing physics, calculus, you name it. But me, I could not pass Survival Swim. Now, just a background story on that. I was a little bit older than my year group, so I was 23 when I was taking the class. I'd never swam before in my life because I've never had to. As a matter of fact, I don't think anyone in my family actually knows how to swim. Now, you might be thinking, Nat, you were really going to let a swim class hold you back? But let's think about it. At 23 years old, with no swimming experience, if you were to put on combat boots, a uniform, a flick, a rifle, and your whole kit and told to go complete a sequence of events in the water, it's very, very difficult. In case if you guys are wondering, I did eventually pass the class after my third try, because at that point, it was either I passed the class or got kicked out. But here, let's get to the lesson. So one of the first things you learn in the class is what's known as a rhythmic bob. That's when you teach yourself to exhale all the air in your lungs and go to the bottom of the pool, and then you bounce back up. Now, I thought this was the stupidest thing in the world because in my mind, I can't swim at all. Why in the hell would I want to go to the bottom of the pool and let out all the air in my lungs? But surprisingly enough, this is where I learned a very, very valuable life lesson. So in life, there are two types of responses that each one of us has when it comes to dealing with a situation. The first is going to be a human response. The second is going to be known as a trained response. When the stock market seems to shit its pants, what a lot of people do is react in a human response. This is when they decide to sell all their remaining stocks and get out. My human response in Survival Swim looked something like this, and then eventually ending up in the bottom of the pool anyways, and then having to be rescued by one of the instructors. So one thing I knew for sure was that I didn't want to be in the bottom of the pool. Just like one thing I know for sure is that I don't like it when the stock market is going down. So during the first week of Survival Swim, we didn't wear any kits. We were just in our swim trunks, and we would practice these rhythmic bobs over and over and over again. Now, I still couldn't swim at all, but I knew I could bounce up and down in the pool for whatever reason. What I didn't process at the time was that instructors were working on our trained response because they knew that once we put on our combat uniform, our boots, and our full combat load with our rifle, things could get more dangerous, and it was important for us as students to know how to save ourselves in the event that something bad happened. So even though at first it didn't make sense to me to go to the bottom of the pool, I realized that once I let out all my breath, it made me accelerate to the bottom of the pool a lot faster. Once I got to the bottom of the pool, I could scan up top and see what was easiest for me to get to. I would then execute my phenomenal rhythmic bob right to safety. Since then, I've approached everything in my personal life and in business with the same method. When investors, both new and seasoned, start to see their money going away, they become very scared and their first reaction is to sell what they have remaining. However, this is the exact opposite of what you want to do. Learning your trained response applies to much more than my Survival Swim class or the stock market. I see it very prevalent when it comes to delayed gratification, where a lot of people graduate college and think they need to reward themselves with a brand new car. And don't get me wrong, there's absolutely nothing wrong with treating yourself, but you also got to measure the cost-benefit analysis of every decision that you make. One of the biggest advantages that you have if you're young is time. The more you learn to maximize time, the more your money will compound on itself and grow for you. Let's take a look at this return of passive investments. As you can see, up to date from this year alone, the stock market is bringing in a 1.27% current dividend yield. In real estate, it's 2.85. And in bonds, it's 1.95. But historically, as we can see, the stocks have had an 11.71% historical annual return for the last 80 years. For real estate, it's been 11.8 in the last 20 years. And in bonds, it's been a 3.91% annual return in the last 20 years. So if we look at my brokerage account, you can see year to date from January 1st to January 28th, I've lost a pretty significant amount of money. almost 10,000 to be exact. But if we look at how much money I've had since the inception of this account, you can tell that what I'm stressing about is this little area from here to here. But in the grand scheme of everything, I've actually made a lot more money and gotten a lot more returns than I've lost throughout the duration of actually having this account. So that's what I mean by having a trained response and a human response. So with that, I hope you guys enjoyed this video today. I plan on putting out more videos every week. Make sure to subscribe and like if you haven't already, and share this with a friend or someone who you think would find this information valuable or somewhat informative. Have a good one.